might be arriving. Let me see. Thanks for putting in the chat from Colorado Springs and from North Portland. Welcome from Colorado Springs. And Jackie, I don't know where you're from or if you're there, but if you are, welcome. And what we do is we spend about 40 minutes or more with a gently guided meditation on my part. And we include mindfulness and insight practice and the metta practice of goodwill and kindness to ourselves and others. And then I come up with a topic of discussion, and we see how far I get into the topic and what I share and what we have to talk about. So it's nice to see everybody. And I will start by getting my bowl, which is now across the room. Making sure I have my original sound on, and let us begin our meditation time with the sound coming to the ears. And find whatever place is comfortable for you. Usually being upright in a chair or on a cushion is useful for keeping the spine straight and yet relaxed. Sometimes people stand in place if sleepiness or restlessness comes into the mind, or sometimes it can also be a practice of lying down if it needs to be, depending on what your physical abilities are. If you can stay awake while you're meditating. So I'll start with some basic instructions, not knowing how much experience some of you have had. If you have a way that you like to start your practice on a regular basis, maybe it's attention to the breath at the nostrils or at the belly. You can start there. Sometimes it's a touch point of where you feel pressure at the buttocks on the cushion or your back against the chair. It brings us into the present moment. Noticing coolness at the nostrils on the inhale or warmth at the nostrils on the exhale. Or if you're attending to a touch point, you might notice pressure, or maybe you notice warmth. And so we don't really tell ourselves those words. We know by direct experience. And so we take this time to settle our heart and body and mind together in one place as best we can. Attending to a single object for a while of the breath, or this it's the touch point. Could be where your hands are touching. And we bring to mind something that helps us to feel kind and loving as we settle into the practice. We want to be sure that it's held in loving awareness, held in goodwill, that we hold ourselves gently as we attend to what appears in the mind, what appears in the body. And we bring mindfulness to the fore, that we can have this sense of holding without judgment whatever is arising. And as we notice the mind wanders off in thinking, we can just give it a soft, gentle note of thinking is happening. One of the sense doors. We have everything that comes to us through our sense doors of hearing or seeing or tasting or touching or smelling. And there's the thought door. Thinking arises and passes away. Sounds come to the ears and pass away. Touch constantly changes. That coolness at the nostrils or the warmth or tingling sensation at a touch point. Whatever arises in our field of attention is useful for mindfulness to see and awareness to understand. So it might be at any of those sense doors where we wake up in this moment. And if the mind is busy and all over the place, we might like to go back to that single object of attention. Helps create concentration. It helps keep the hindrances at bay, that of restlessness or agitation. One of the hindrances is grasping and clinging. There's also aversion, pushing away what's happening. There's sloth and torpor, tiredness. Sometimes there's doubt in the practice that arises. So we have those hindrances that are usually present. And if we return to the single object for a little while, we can begin to let those hindrances not be quite so important because the attention is at the single pointedness of the breath or the touch point. may begin to notice as something arises, if it's pleasant, we tend to grasp toward it and want to hang on to it, but it seems to pass on its own accord, under its own circumstances that have come together. And the same thing can sometimes be true of noticing discomfort that arises, something that we aren't happy with in our thinking, or maybe in a physical manifestation in our body arising that we have aversion to. And we might notice in both of these instances that if we're grasping or pushing away something, that we might notice the suffering that it causes us, the discomfort that arises. And we can begin to see that conditions come together, they stay for a certain amount of time, and they fall apart over and over again. And this is the way things are. And by seeing clearly, we bring mindfulness into the equation. We can see that grasping and clinging to what we like or pushing away what we don't like creates discomfort and suffering. We begin to realize that we can just be a little more neutral with mindfulness. And we can let go of what might seem to be unskillful. We might have thoughts over and over again of the same thing. And maybe they aren't useful for our practice, and we can gently practice renunciation of letting go, practice generosity of letting go, and letting the heart and mind incline toward the more wholesome states of mind, of kindness and compassion, energy, investigation. Even noticing the transitory nature of impermanence is inclining the mind toward understanding the Dharma. In this direct moment, that grasping and clinging can cause suffering, craving, and aversion are transient. Sleepiness and tiredness are transient. We might sense a kind of energy that can arise even a joyousness at seeing clearly what's happening, what arises and passes away. As we slowly build concentration, we can see that mindfulness is there, awareness is there. There might be a level of equanimity to see what arises and passes. We might see that there's a virtue in letting go of what we're grasping toward, impulses and reactive habits of the mind. We might be able to let go of this as we see it arise. We may even see letting go of views and opinions. As mindfulness gets stronger moment to moment and awareness is present, wisdom arises. We can see where something is useful and something is not so useful in our practice as it arises, and panya, wisdom, can allow us to let go more. We can cultivate patience with what arises, letting go of expectations and the idea of how we think things should be. And there's loving kindness as the process goes on. Releasing bitterness, grudges, hatred, all forms of ill will. This resolve for truth and generosity and peace that we keep nurturing as we train the mind and tame the mind. I like one of the quotes that I heard from Walt Whitman one time. Be not discouraged, keep on. There are divine things well enveloped. I swear to you, there are divine things more beautiful than words can tell. So we hold ourselves in kindness and in compassion, and we let go of what doesn't serve us, and we incline toward positive thoughts and maintaining this state of being that can help us toward freedom. As we remind ourselves, drawing attention to loving kindness and slowly building momentum, it can take hold within our hearts. As we cultivate metta or goodwill, one cause for the arising of loving kindness is to not attend to things that are irritating or conducive to aversion. We can notice what arises, but we don't get lost in the storyline. As a conscious cultivation, we pay attention to things that we perceive as conducive to happiness and well-being. We can let go of aversion, not attending to things that stir up the quality of ill will. There's a kind of strength of intention that forms in the mind, and we can begin to sustain a flow of well-wishing, holding ourselves gently and kindly, letting go of what arises in the mind that might seem harmful to us. It's not that we're overriding discernment, but it helps us not give as much attention in the mind to aversion by consciously making the choice to include ourselves in this kindness, physical and mental ease that we're encouraging ourselves to direct our attention to. So when we find ourselves lost in thought, or maybe dropping off into tiredness, or maybe there's anxiety in the mind, or we can't even tell, there's just confusion and we're not sure what we're doing, we can wake up in that moment, that mindful moment. These moments of mindfulness string themselves together. And we can consciously cultivate loving kindness as a skillful way to direct our attention. It can sometimes help dissolve away those moods and thoughts of aversion that are sometimes more habituated than we wish. we can slowly train ourselves to see things through the eyes of goodwill and let go a little of ill will and irritation when sometimes it seems like everything is an intrusion and a source of irritation, and things begin to get read through that lens. But we just see clearly whatever's happening. We can have this ground of kindness that we slowly keep turning our hearts toward. Breathing in, I know I am breathing in. Breathing out, I know I am breathing out. Present in this moment. This is the way it is right now. Reminding ourselves to stay present. Letting ourselves be held in kindness. Wishing ourselves to be free from harm, safe and protected. Or if you're familiar with the metta practice, whatever phrases or feeling sense works for you. We can include others, bringing in a close friend or bringing in a benefactor. Seeing this being healthy and happy. Feeling their presence. Including them in the body of our breath. Our body breathing. Letting a sense of kindness, however you can bring that to mind. Sometimes through laughing children or pets that we love stroking, or a place in nature that nurtures us, that we may have this place to return to, this well of kindness that can get cultivated. And it's a kindness that has no limitation, unconditional well-being for others and ourselves. Understanding that we all are subject to ill will and impermanence, and we see and understand this as best we can. And we know that others also are challenged, and we let kindness flow to them, well-being flow to them, compassion flow to them. We can have that compassion for ourselves when things are challenging. And we can also include others. And we can also expand our heart's intention toward a neutral person or a group of neutral people, someone that we don't know closely, see them in passing, or a group of people that we might have kindness and compassion for but don't know. Overworked doctors and nurses, overworked therapists, a group of unhoused people you may have seen recently, or something in the news that caught your attention. Holding a neutral person or neutral people in your heart. Just as I wish to be happy, I know that you also wish to be happy. May you have ease and well-being. May you be free from affliction. May you be free from hostility and free from ill will. May you maintain well-being in yourself as best you can. Just as I wish to be happy, I know that you wish to be happy. May you have compassion for yourself when things are challenging. And may we expand this goodwill and compassion to others beyond our direct sphere and beyond our neutral sphere too. Those who are in suffering and those who are in joy, those who are known and unknown, beings seen and unseen, those enlightened and those unenlightened. May all beings everywhere have happiness and the causes of happiness. Have ease and well-being. Take care of themselves happily. Hold themselves in kindness and compassion. May all beings be free from harm, safe and protected. be free from ill will and free from hostility, free from anxiety, and may they maintain well-being in themselves. Anicca vata sankhara upadavaya domino upakitava merochanti te samvapasamo sukho. All conditioned things arise and pass away. And seeing this clearly with mindfulness brings the greatest happiness, which is peace. And may we remember that the goodness of this practice is of great benefit to us and all beings. No matter how rough or smooth we thought our meditation was this time, spending time on the cushion, spending time seeing things clearly, whatever that is. And as you gently begin to open your eyes and let some light in, noticing light coming to the eyes and maybe beginning to focus on something, things change. We have perceptions. We start to have opinions about whether we like what we see or don't like what we see or want to change what we see. May we let some of this kindness that we've been cultivating flow to each other in our circle and even those behind their squares. We know they're there. May we let kindness and compassion flow to them. And we can take a couple of minutes break for a bio break or to get your water or whatever. And I'll ring the bell, so hopefully you can be within reach within about 3 minutes. I'll just start again. And we'll have some conversation on the Metta Sutta.